Let's try a thought experiment. For a moment, set aside everything you know about history and open your mind to a world shaped by different choices. Imagine waking up in a world where Africa's story wasn't interrupted or rewritten by European colonialism. Picture a continent where the morning sun rises over cities and villages that have grown from ancient roots, uninterrupted, evolving in their own unique ways. No foreign flags planted in the soil, no arbitrary lines slicing through communities, just Africa, unfolding on its own terms, guided by its own rhythms and wisdom. The history books, completely different. The news, unrecognizable. Stories of kingdoms, inventions, and philosophies that grew from the continent itself, told in 1,000 local languages. Even the map would look less like a rushed jigsaw puzzle and more like a living tapestry, shaped by rivers, mountains, and the journeys of people over centuries. This isn't about erasing the past, but about exploring an alternative narrative, a road not traveled, yet full of possibility and hope. What if Europe had focused on its own affairs, visiting Africa as guests, exchanging ideas, learning from Africa's wisdom, and then leaving respectfully? No conquest, just connection? We're about to explore an Africa that charted its own course, faced its own challenges, and celebrated its own triumphs. An Africa where leadership, innovation, and culture flourished on its own terms. This isn't science fiction. It's about recognizing Africa's inherent strengths, its vibrant civilizations, sophisticated systems, and rich heritage that predated any European arrival, and imagining how they might have grown even further. We'll wonder with optimism and informed speculation what could have blossomed if those seeds had grown undisturbed, if dreams had not been uprooted. So, get comfortable. Let's explore what might have been. Imagine the possibilities. Let's begin our journey together with open minds and hopeful hearts. Welcome to an Africa Unchained, a vision of a different sunrise and a future reimagined. Picture this. No European scramble for Africa, no Berlin Conference, no foreign powers carving up the continent. Africa was already home to powerful empires, Great Zimbabwe, Ashanti, Zulu, Songhai, each with complex systems and thriving economies. Without colonial invasion, these powers could have continued expanding, negotiating, and sometimes clashing, but always on their own terms. It would have been an African-led Game of Thrones, with borders shaped by real human geography, not arbitrary lines. Imagine the Asante Empire consolidating power, the Sokoto Caliphate advancing its learning and trade, and rivalries driving innovation and diplomacy. Borders would be organic, reflecting cultures and connections, not colonial convenience. The map would be drawn by African hands for African purposes. State formation would be dynamic, shaped by internal ambitions and alliances. The result? A continent defined by its own logic, not foreign imposition. Africa, evolving as Africa. Let's bust a myth. Africa's intellectual legacy is not a blank slate, but a tapestry woven with centuries of innovation, discovery, and learning. Africa was never an intellectual wilderness. From the banks of the Nile to the savannas of Mali, knowledge was cherished, preserved, and passed down through generations. Centuries before Oxford, Timbuktu's University of Sankore was a hub for mathematics, astronomy, medicine, and law. Scholars from across the continent and beyond journeyed there to study and debate, remove colonialism, and this tradition flourishes. African scholars building on their own knowledge, developing unique theories and tools, and creating new schools of thought rooted in their own realities. Education would be indigenous, rooted in African languages and values, teaching about Mansa Musa, Queen Nzinga, and the wisdom of local heroes and ancestors. Students would learn about the Benin city walls, marvels of engineering and artistry, and countless other achievements often left out of global textbooks. This builds identity, pride, and self-belief, empowering young Africans to see themselves as inheritors and creators of knowledge. Technological evolution would follow a different path. Iron smelting by the Nok, advanced metallurgy, and innovations tailored to Africa's unique environments. Innovative textiles by the Baganda, intricate crafts, and sustainable materials would shape industries and daily life. All tailored to local needs, with inventions and solutions springing from the challenges and opportunities of African societies. It's not about inventing smartphones early, but about African ingenuity solving African challenges, clean water, sustainable energy, and resilient communities. Perhaps this would lead to more sustainable technologies in harmony with the environment and innovations that inspire the world. The world's knowledge would be broader, richer, and more diverse, with African voices shaping global conversations in science and technology. Africa's story would be told by Africans for Africans. Imagine the breakthroughs. Imagine the pride. Imagine the future, one where Africa's genius shines for all to see. Africa has always been a continent of commerce. Long-distance trade routes, bustling markets, and international networks. Gold, salt, textiles, cola nuts, and more flowed across the continent, enriching local economies. Without colonial extraction, this wealth would stay in Africa, fueling local industries and infrastructure. Economic policies would be set in African capitals, not dictated from Europe. Regional currencies and trade blocs could emerge based on mutual benefit and shared interests. Development would be complex, but genuinely African, valuing dignity, sustainability, and equitable growth. The result? Prosperity built on Africa's own terms. A fairer distribution of wealth benefiting Africans first. That would change everything. African art is a testament to centuries of creativity and innovation. Think of the Benin bronzes with their intricate metalwork, or the ancient Nok terracottas, each piece telling a story of a vibrant civilization. These masterpieces are not just artifacts, they are living connections to Africa's past, reflecting the skill and vision of generations of artists. The Ife heads, for example, are world-class masterpieces, celebrated for their realism and beauty. Many of these treasures were looted during colonialism, scattered across museums far from their origins, yet their legacy endures. Imagine if this creative energy had continued uninterrupted, evolving on its own terms, free from outside interference. African art would have developed new forms, schools, and movements, inspiring generations. Storytelling, music, and dance are the heartbeat of African cultures, each with unique rhythms, instruments, and tales passed down through the ages. These traditions are woven into daily life, shaping identity and community. Without colonial suppression, these art forms would have flourished even more spectacularly, branching into new genres and reaching even greater heights of expression. Think of Nollywood's global impact today. Now imagine that creative explosion happening centuries earlier across countless genres, from epic dramas to innovative comedies, all rooted in African perspectives. Africa's thousands of languages would thrive, becoming the mediums of government, literature, and science. Schools and universities would teach in local languages, nurturing homegrown thinkers and writers. The world's literary canon would be immeasurably richer, filled with epic poems, novels, and philosophies written in African tongues, offering new perspectives to global readers. Cultural exchange would happen on Africa's terms, a true dialogue between equals, where African voices are heard and respected, shaping the global conversation. African artists and thinkers would shape global culture, not just be influenced by it. Their innovations would set trends, inspire movements, and redefine what is possible in art and thought. The world's cultural tapestry would be more vibrant, with strong African threads running boldly through it, enriching every corner of the globe. It would be a conversation, not a lecture, a world where ideas flow freely in every direction and every culture is valued. Africa's voice would be loud and clear. The world would listen, and together, we would create a richer, more connected global culture. Before colonization, Africa was a mosaic of political systems, kingdoms, empires, city-states, and communal governance. The idea that Africa needed European order is a myth. In an uncolonized Africa, these systems would have evolved, some into constitutional monarchies, others into federations or new alliances. Conflicts and power struggles would happen, as in any region, but solutions would be African-led. No divide-and-rule tactics, no externally imposed borders. Legal systems would develop from customary laws, focused on reconciliation and community well-being. Justice might emphasize restorative principles, with formal courts evolving over time. The state's relationship with citizens could be more participatory, rooted in collective responsibility. Africa's political evolution would be its own. Fast forward, an uncolonized Africa, with thriving states, economies, and cultures, steps onto the world stage. No longer a collection of colonies, but a continent of sovereign nations, each with its own voice. Trade would be on African terms, negotiating prices, ensuring benefits for their own people. African delegations would arrive in global capitals as equal partners, not supplicants. Diplomatically, Africa would have a powerful collective voice, shaping global discussions on peace, climate, and justice. African nations would help set the global agenda, not just follow it. Alliances and partnerships would be chosen, not imposed. Perhaps a strong African Union or regional blocs would emerge, influencing geopolitics. The world would be truly multipolar, with Africa as a respected pole of power. A more balanced, stable international order. This isn't pure fantasy. Africa's history is full of clues to its potential. The Kingdom of Kush conquered Egypt, built pyramids, and developed its own script, thousands of years ago. Great Zimbabwe's stone enclosures show advanced engineering and social organization at the heart of a vast trading empire. Timbuktu's University of Sankore was a beacon of learning, attracting scholars and manuscripts from across Africa and beyond. Colonialism disrupted these networks, sometimes destroying or looting centers of knowledge. Yet the spirit of ingenuity and resistance endured. Queen Nzinga's defiance, the Asante Empire's wars against the British. Africa's capacity for self-determination and brilliance was always there. It just needed the freedom to grow. The seeds were planted long before colonialism. Imagine what they could have become. The potential was always real. After this journey through an imagined Africa, what's the takeaway? Not just sorrow for what was lost, but inspiration for what endures. Africa's resilience, creativity, and wisdom have never been extinguished. Despite colonialism and its aftermath, Africa is rising, seen in music, cinema, tech, and entrepreneurship. The same indomitable spirit continues to shine. An Africa free to follow its own path might be more stable, equitable, and confident. Its global contributions would be different, perhaps even more profound. This isn't just about the past, it's about Africa's capacity to shape its own future. The next chapter is being written by Africans themselves, with hope and ingenuity.